want to
But before that, let's talk about Jon Stewart on Israel, Lebanon, and the widening Middle East war.
Experience the full cognitive dissonance and language calisthenics that have to be deployed to describe the Middle East over the last, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 10,000 years. How we're describing I give you the golden soundbite brought down from Sinai to explain how fucking convoluted this has to be.
What the Israeli government is saying, and the Biden administration is in many ways subscribed to this idea, is de-escalation through escalation.
Or as that is sometimes called, war! That is World War II! Look at the subhead. De-escalation through escalation. I mean, do you even hear yourself? My God, the de-escalation through escalation, that phrase is, where have I heard? It's right out of... Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on.
Wait, there's a longer version of this in the docket. Oh, here it is.
Welcome to the Daily Show, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, speaking of Europe, let's talk about the Middle East. As you know, October 7th marks the one-year anniversary of the horrific attack against Israeli citizens, the kidnapping of hostages, many of whom have died, many of whom are still being held. Since then, there's also been a horrific war in which doesn't seem to have gotten us any closer to getting those hostages released. But luckily for both sides, the United States has been working tirelessly since then towards, well, I'll let our former president explain.
For weeks, I've been advocating to pause in the fighting.
You know, I've been working tirelessly.
Relentlessly focused. I've been working nonstop. I'm engaged in this day and night. We're working around the clock. We are closer than we've ever been. We're very close. We're close. We're close.
We were so good. He stopped to get ice cream once. But other than that, it was all ceasefire all the time. Now, if you don't mind, I'm seeing what's going on over there, and it's making me a little bit hungry. I think I'm going to grab myself a little something. I'm going to take a little... I just shot ice cream into my eye. Ice cream is, I give the president credit, very dangerous treat. I'm going to take a big bite of my ice cream cone as I find out how our ceasefire efforts are paying off.
Israel launching an all-out assault on Hezbollah in Lebanon over the weekend.
What? So worth it. Wait, we've been working tirelessly for a ceasefire and then Lebanon.
Can't believe it. Notorious Jon Stewart doing it again.
The whole point was we're going to downgrade, we're going to attack the terrorists there, we're going to get the hostages home. What did Lebanon do?
No country can accept the wanton rocketing of its cities. We can't accept it either.
But you've also been wanton rocketing. What kind of rocketing are you doing, if not wanton? And by the way, that's how little criticism they faced. By the way, Lebanon is also a country. What makes you think they're going to accept your rocketing or whatever other James Bond you've been up to?
Thousands of wireless pagers simultaneously exploding across Lebanon.
Exploding pagers. Lebanon expected Israel to attack from the south, but instead they attacked from the 1980s. What? Ooh, you know what Lebanon should do? Yeah! Well, Israel, got any quarters? By the way, quick message for our viewers who are under, let's say, 45. This is a pager. Let me come over here. This is a pager. This is a pager. I'm going to put it over here.
I don't exactly love the commentary so far because I feel like he's making light of, I mean, he's a comedian. His job is to make light of like really horrifying events, but it almost feels like he doesn't calculate the severity of Israel's actions because it is an act of terror, which ended up like 2 kids. So
here, not really sure where we bought those from. So you see, there was a time back in the olden days when we didn't have cell phones, but still wanted to buy drugs. You would ping your local neighborhood dealer on his pager. What? And then he would come over and say something like, "Are you going to smoke all of this yourself?" And then you would say, "Do you want to come in?" And the next thing you know, you're driving him to Schenectady.
I don't think he cracks jokes about October 7. You know what I mean? He don't crack jokes about 9/11. He don't crack jokes about October 7. Why is he cracking jokes when it's like Lebanese people that are being exploded? Bro, shut up. Shut up and watch the show. I mean, it's just, I hope he turns it around. I'm just saying that, like, so far, it's just like, calm down.
The point is, stay in school. But yes, Israel, Yisrael, Israel remotely exploded all of Hezbollah's pagers and walkie-talkies, which is why going forward, Hezbollah will limit its communications to the message boards on nudeafrica.com, because no one will ever find out the things that you post on nudeafrica.com under the username I am Mark Robertson, candidate for North Carolina Governor 836. No one will find out. Nope. Now, we know the Americans have been working tirelessly on a ceasefire in Gaza.
That's it? That's what he got on the pager explosions? Okay, cool. I mean, that sucks. The person who was telling me to shut the up, suck my
Gaza through countless hours and all 31 Baskin-Robbins flavors, apparently. But this new conflagration points to another outcome the United States has been very much trying to avoid.
From day one, since October 7th, it's been one of our primary objectives to prevent the conflict from escalating, from spreading to other places.
Prevent an escalation or widening or deepening of this conflict.
We have been laser focused on trying to prevent that wider war since October 7th.
I don't think we need a wider war in the Middle East. That's not what I'm looking for.
Why would you be looking for that? You know what I'd love? A wider war in the Middle East.
This is why the New York Times' coverage on the matter is so damaging, because it gives a permission structure to liberals to laugh about an issue that is like objectively inhumane. A direct act of terror. Okay. That's why even someone like Jon Stewart, who has significantly better opinions on issues like this, will crack jokes like in a careless manner, which dulls the severity of the actions taken, which kind of whitewashes the horrifying acts of terror. It's just up. Speaking to the mic, little bro, I don't know why I'm really annoyed with chatters today. I feel like there's a bunch of like really annoying people in the chat.
Well, now that a wider war has broken out in the Middle East, this is President Biden yesterday talking about what we're going to do about it.
We're going to do everything we can to keep a wider war from breaking out.
How f***ing wide does this war have to be before we call it a wider? Without Turkey, it's still technically in the margins. Look, as far as I'm concerned, it's not a wide war until it includes Mongolian archers. Come on! What are we doing? And by the way, if this isn't the wider war, then what is this?
It continues to be a very dangerous situation, a very difficult situation. It's a very difficult, volatile situation, and the situation could escalate at any moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so it's not a war. It's a volatile situationship. A friends with bomber fits, if you will. But what if you really want to experience the full cognitive dissonance and language calisthenics that have to be deployed to describe the Middle East over the last, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 10,000 years? How we're describing I give you the golden soundbite brought down from Sinai to explain how convoluted this has to be.
What the Israeli government is saying, and the Biden administration is in many ways subscribed to this idea, is de-escalation through escalation.
Or as that is sometimes called, war! That is World War II! Look at the subhead. De-escalation through escalation. I mean, do you even hear yourself? My God, the de-escalation through escalation? That phrase is, where have I heard? It's right out of, hold on a second. Let me see if I can find, hold on. No, it's not in there. Hold on. Let me see if I can find, no, it's not in there. Let me see if I can find, oh my God. John, that cat has wreaked havoc on your bachelor lifestyle. Although I do take issue with one of Garfield's bromides. I happen to love Mondays. It's the start and end.
There's no issue with making jokes, chat. I do it all the time. I do it on a daily fucking basis. In a lot of the horrifying segments of reality that I cover, I covered this exact same story and I crack jokes in between. It's just that I guess the direction of the jokes oftentimes, or who I make the butt of the jokes oftentimes, is the Israeli government. You can make jokes. You can make jokes about the American role in this process. You can make jokes about the Israeli government in this process. You can even make jokes about the Lebanese population. It just has to be like, I don't know, somewhat tasteful and not tone deaf when you are making a joke about innocent people being blown to bits. It just comes across a little callous.
End of every work week. Though I hear Fridays are nice. But here's the worst part. The country that's providing all the to the Middle East, or I guess now we have to call them escalators, seems to have no idea when these are going to be used.
We were not notified by the Israelis about their strike or the intended target of their strike.
First, this is something we were not aware of or involved in. The United States did not know about, nor was it involved in these incidents.
Oh, you're not telling you anything, huh? Have you checked your pager? I mean, my God, there have to be other ways of achieving de-escalation without all this respectful exchange of missiles. Historically, that part is generally followed by years of sorrow and bloodshed. And we know there have been opportunities for de-escalation, but Netanyahu did not seem particularly interested in it. Oh, my God, I've criticized Netanyahu. What have I done? Go ahead.
The people who are criticizing the prime minister, it is shameful, it is pathetic.
We should be standing shoulder to shoulder with our strongest ally in the Middle East instead of launching this criticism.
They criticize them for going too far constantly, and that gives comfort.
I'm sorry? Criticism of the war is shameful, and it gives comfort to... You know who might be surprised to hear that? The Israelis, who are unbelievably critical of the war and Netanyahu.
ראש הממשלה לא הישיר מבט לציבור ואמר את האמת.
What you gonna say now, mother? Get off my back. You heard what he said. He said...
Yeah, dude, Israelis hate Benjamin Netanyahu so much that his popularity has only grown post-October 7 and has increased tremendously since the incursions into Lebanon. Yeah, it's so funny to point to Benny Gantz, by the way, as a guy who hates Benjamin Netanyahu, and it's like, that was our guy. That was supposed to be the next leader of Israel, you know? That was the guy that we were positioning on our liberal Zionist off-ramp that we were setting up. Except what happened to that off-ramp? He left the coalition. He left the governing coalition in disgrace. And Benjamin Netanyahu is literally more popular than he has been post-October 7 because he opened a new front in the war, by the way, just so you understand.
Does anyone have a Google Translate on what he said?
The prime minister did not look the public in the eye and tell the truth, that he won't bring the hostages alive.
It's a total failure, the Israeli government. No strategy, no vision.
He is trying to do everything to prevent a deal.
He don't have any intent to end this war.
Netanyahu is lying as he breathes.
What the former prime minister of Israel and defense minister are. But still, people are going to see this segment and go, all right, maybe Israel isn't perfect, but criticizing them feeds the fire. Don't you worry about it? And to that, I say no. I believe we'll be fine. I got to say, not for nothing, but from what I've experienced, it's very resilient. And it's not really tied to any event or war or activity or reality. For God's sakes, Kanye thought we ruined his Adidas deal. We just need orthotics, that's all. We'll survive this war like it survived all wars, going back to the brave Hebrews at Masada. Do you see?
Yeah, that was the one good joke that he made.
See, Rabbi, I was paying attention in Egypt. You know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the blame the Jews from the Black Death to the Spanish Inquisition to the space lasers will all go away if Israel does right, and peace will reign. And people will no longer baselessly and conveniently blame the Jews when things don't work out exactly.
The problem with this argument is that he's obviously right, like is irrelevant to the actions of Israel in terms of it like always being a major issue, being at the heart of like all fascist movements. The problem, however, is that Israel's actions, and more so than Israel's actions, but like the justifications for Israel's actions being tied back to Judaism, and also on top of that, the defense of Israel's actions against like valid criticism being tied back to a cynical deployment of as a shield does, especially when communicated through every orifice of media by everyone in positions of power, does make it incredibly easy for the uninitiated person with a little bit of like unexamined opinions that are just like left out there in the dark to completely adopt the position that Jews control the media. That's it. That's literally it. Israel blows up a school, says we're doing this for Judaism and all Jews love us. And then Jake Tapper goes on television and says, if you criticize Israel blowing up a school, you're because all Jews love Israel and all Jews love what Israel is doing. Then yeah, what is a guy in Arkansas supposed to think? What? He's never met a Jewish person before. The only thing he knows about Jews is Seinfeld. Okay? In his mind, he's like, I see a lot of Jewish people who are rich. What is he supposed to think? He's never thought about these issues. He's heard, Jews are very good with money. Okay? He's probably even heard Jews control the media before. Maybe he didn't put a lot of thought or effort into understanding what that means and why it's incorrect. But when that guy turns on television and hears this from every news outlet, what is he supposed to think? Where is his casual supposed to go? It's going to become full-blown. The amount of people, I'm willing to fucking bet, the amount of people, have you fact-checked who owns every media? Yeah, see? And there's people doing that right now in the chat. Have you fact-checked who owns every major media outlet? Dude, if you think it's Jews, and you also think that there is a monolithic force that dictates that, like, Jews operate on the boundaries of Israel and defending Israel's actions, you are stupid. The major people that own media outlets are not Jews, by the way. It's not. Yes, there are so many WASPs, okay? It's mostly WASPs that own most of and control most of the important vectors of power. But it does not matter because they're not operating in a monolithic understanding beyond being capital owners, okay? That's it. Zionism across the board and the way that it has churned out these results are a byproduct of social conditioning, okay? There are far more evangelical Zionists that are rabid supporters of Israel than there are Zionist Jews, okay? There are more rabid evangelical Zionists than there are Jews across the board, okay? This is why I routinely repeat the correct statement, the true fact that if magically tomorrow every single American Jew universally condemned the state of Israel, said it's an apartheid, said that they no longer recognize what it once was, doesn't mean that a higher percent of evangelicals are. You are wrong. You are literally wrong, okay? The Jewish support for the state of Israel is not as black and white as you think it is. A lot of that is never perfectly defined. Why is it never perfectly defined? Because institutions that are supposed to deal with it want to maintain the idea that Israel is a Jewish ethno-state and that's good and all Jews like it the way it is and all Jews want to defend it. Okay? So you never get like a full-blown accurate analysis on the subject matter. Okay? But if you think that a higher percentage of Jews are pro-Israel with the same severity, you can look at the numbers. Who gives more money to the state of Israel, specifically the settler projects? If you think Jews make up a higher percentage of the donations, or if you think Jews are donating more money to Israel than evangelical Christians, you are wrong. Okay? It's funny because even the inception of Israel, under the Balfour Declaration, Lord Balfour wasn't a person, but he was motivated by Christian Zionists. And the one that literally said, no, dog, we shouldn't ship all the Jews to Israel, or not Israel at the time, British Mandate Palestine, was a Jewish guy. The one guy who openly spoke out against it was a Jew. Christian Zionism predated Jewish Zionism. Most Jews in America, in spite of their insane amounts of social conditioning that they get early on, have damn near identical perspectives on the maintenance of the state of Israel as everybody else. Okay? That's it. That is just the truth. When you look at it by demographics, when you break it down by demographics, young Jews under the age of 35, many of which are in here as well, young Jews under the age of 35 and their opinion on Israel is damn near identical to every other demographic under the age of 35. What? It was a Jewish doctor sounding like Kanye? What? Because I'm speaking to the canard that all Jews are monolithic in their understanding of any issue, let alone Israel. Israel's taking urgent steps to find a diplomatic solution to the conflict in the northern front with Hezbollah. Conflict? Dog, they're looking for a diplomatic solution to the problem that they started? What the? Would you also say that most Jewish people in the U.S., but also in general, are generally uninformed about what's happening and rather are just defending the state of Israel? I mean, sure, that's part of it. If they watch only mainstream media, then yes, their opinion is going to be similar to your Christian dad. You know what I mean? It's just the same.
The way they want them to.
This is the most important election in the history of the United States. I'm not going to call this as a prediction, but in my opinion, the Jewish people would have a lot to do with a loss if I'm at 40%.
Son of a...
So, like, this speech was actually really informative. Like, his entire speech at the seminar was actually quite informative, and not just because of what he said or what he didn't say, but also because of the way that the media covered it. Like, a lot of people hyper-focused on him saying this, which is objectively stupid, right? But many people did not talk about all the other things that he said. The many instances where he basically defended Miriam Adelson, said, I gave Sheldon and Miriam everything they wanted. Like, pure graft, okay? Pure graft across the board. He brought up Miriam Adelson by name because of Miriam Adelson's donations. And it's odd that mainstream media did not even cover that at all. Normally, if Donald Trump was, flubbing this hard about any other issue, the media would make mincemeat out of that. He literally personally said he gave Golan Heights to Israel because he got money from Sheldon Adelson. I'm going to try to find this thing. Hold on. Michael Treacy, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Michael Treacy clipped it. And then Felix actually quote retweeted it, and I just want to show you that clip again. Yeah, it's deeply to accept that this happened.
Recognize Israel, just as I promised. I recognize Israel's eternal capital and oversee in Jerusalem. Jerusalem became the capital. I also recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. You know, Miriam and Sheldon would come into the White House probably almost more than anybody outside of people that work there. And they were always after, and as soon as I'd give them something, always for Israel. As soon as I'd give them something, they'd want something else. I'd say, give me a couple of weeks, will you please? But I gave them the Golan Heights, and they never even asked for it. You know, for 72 years, they've been trying to do the Golan Heights, right? And even Sheldon didn't have the nerve. But I said, you know what? I said to David Friedman, give me a quick lesson, like 5 minutes or less on the Golan Heights. And he did. And I said, let's do it. We got it done in about 15 minutes.
Michael Treacy says, take note of which Trump comments provoke controversy and which don't. Trump said this week that he gave Golan Heights to Sheldon and Miriam Adelson, his top funders, who came to the White House almost more than anybody. Not a peep about this brazen admission of graft. Now, one must ask the question why they didn't cover this aspect of the story, or why they didn't even talk about Donald Trump's, I guess, objectively correct statements in terms of like anti-Semitism rising in college campuses, because they believe it too and they agree with it. That's why. Okay. And the great question, exactly, the real follow-up to that is because Biden did nothing to undo it. Why would he do that? Because Biden is also an ultra-Zionist. The entire time, he kept saying, I gave everything you want, okay? I gave everything you want to you Jews. Why won't you vote for me? You must be cursed. That's what he said, okay? Now, obviously, from my perspective, that is an utterly insane and deeply anti-Semitic thing to say and to think, right? Not because of the you Jews part, but because it comes with the underlying false notion that all Jews give a shit about in America is Israel. Okay? Yeah, he said you must you have a curse. Okay? It is the underlying premise there is that Jews are a monolithic force that exclusively cares about Israel and nothing else. When making their electoral decisions, this is what they care about. Okay? Now, the hilarious side of this, and the reason why the media doesn't really cover that much, is because they also repeat this false notion, but in a woke way. Every time you say 90% of Jews are Zionist, they love Israel, all they care about is Israel, that's the only thing that motivates them. We can't make a decision on Israel because then Jews won't vote for Kamala Harris. Like, all this is just woke anti-Semitism, okay? It is the woke side saying the exact same thing that the Nazis say. It is objectively false, okay? It is not correct. It is incorrect. I don't give a what your background is. You could be a Jewish person telling me this. I don't give a. I will not agree that 90% of Jews believe that like what Israel is doing is right. Because I, unlike whoever is saying that, okay, recognize how deeply of an anti-Semitic sentiment that is, okay? Maybe in the heat of the moment, you might forget what Israel is doing or the way that people analyze what Israel is doing because they can see the atrocities. But when you come out as a defensive posture and slap on Judaism in defense of the state of Israel, okay, well, sorry, but you are creating more anti-Semitism. It's just the truth, straight up. That's the reason why they don't actually talk about Donald Trump's, additional graft or all of his statements about like anti-Semitism rising in the country, right? The reason why they don't talk about it is because they also agree with the underlying premise. Even if they don't actually agree or believe it, they say it anyway because they think it is a good deployment. It is a good way to defend Israel's actions and to silence the naysayers by simply claiming you are anti-Semitic. It is ridiculous. Sorry for Kazu Hassan seen MWM dragging his name through the mud on their live. I don't know who MWM is. Why are people constantly coming in here to be like, bro, like Wesley Bucksteak said you're doo-doo head. Like, I genuinely have no clue what you're talking about. And honestly, I don't care, and neither should you. I just don't give a dog. You don't understand. You have to address this, bro. Xylitol told everybody that you suck. Like, you suck big time, dude. You have to address it, bro. I wouldn't take it. On God, I wouldn't take it, bro. I would not, bro. I don't care. Focus on what actually matters, okay? Like the top of the hour ad break, which comes at the top of every hour. If you no longer want to see those ads, then you have to subscribe, which you can do for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Here's a 3-minute ad break now. The 90% of Jews are a Zionist number is based around a falsehood, okay? It is the constantly changing definition of Zionism. It is directly related to the constantly changing definition of Zionism. In a defensive posture, Zionism can mean anything, okay? There is no like one singular definition that everyone can get together and agree on for some weird reason. But the other reason is the other number. I remember reading an article on this, but like it's just like a made up poll. It's not like a real poll, but it keeps getting